We've been thumbing through some leaked documents that we've been passed here at the BBC, in which is claimed that the Treasury Minister, Senator Philip Ozouf, was more in favour of the Royal Bank of Canada moving to estates development on the Esplanade than buying the Post Office headquarters in Broad Street next door to their current premises. Senator Ozouf has told us he didn't block the sale of Jersey Post headquarters, but he says whilst there was an initial inquiry, the deal never materialised. I'm pleased to say Senator Ozouf is on the line to us from London this morning. Senator Ozouf, these emails that have been given to us date back to 2009. Why do you think they've been released now?
I can't answer that, but there's certainly emails that look as though that they have been stolen and they have been widely distributed to states members. The difficulty is not only the fact that they were stolen, they only are part of the email chain. And I can confirm, as I know that the chairman of Jersey Post and indeed Royal Bank of Canada, that whilst the deal was originally spoken about in 1999, a potential deal, for whatever reason that deal did not materialise and no deal was blocked.
But it goes back to 2009, in which you sent an email to Terry Lesueur, the then Chief Minister, and Bill Ogley, the Chief Executive of the States. You say, the urgency is I'm being pressed by Jersey Post to sanction the sale of Broad Street to the RBC. Once the post office site is sold to RBC, the option for states and consolidation on Broad Street will be lost, and RBC's move to the waterfront will also be lost. I was only alerted to this on Monday, and you'd appreciate an initial view. Did you say that?
Absolutely, and that's exactly what you would expect me to do. I, on behalf of the public of Jersey, discharge the functions of shareholder, the sole shareholder of Jersey Post, and indeed on SOJDC. It is public land and public money ultimately. If an entity owned by the states of Jersey, which has been given an asset in order to discharge their business functions, decide that that building is no longer required, then it is the shareholders' capital, and it is right for the company to come to the shareholder and say, what do you wish us to do with the surplus asset? Do you wish us to sell it? If so, what do you want us to do with the proceeds? It's public money.
Wouldn't it have been better for Jersey Post, you were representing the taxpayer on this particular issue, to have sold to RBC?
It might well have been, but it was perfectly appropriate for them to have come to the shareholder and ask what their views were on it. That's the way in which good governance works. Shareholding, national ownership of these companies must mean something to Jersey people. And so if they're going to sell a building which was 8 or 9 or 10 or 12 million pounds, then ultimately that money is public money.
But why did you say it was urgent? You said you were being pressed by Jersey Post to sanction the sale of Broad Street, and indeed Kevin Keane now says it's on their business plan to sell that property.
Well, exactly. That's a shining the light into the speed of decisions that is sometimes necessary. The Jersey Post management, which of course have changed. It was before Kevin Keane's arrival at Jersey Post. Jersey Post at the time were in very significant difficulties. There were lots of controversies about some of the issues they were up to, such as setting up MIMO, etc. And they asked me for a quick decision. Therefore, I did. And actually, if you look at the whole email exchange, it's almost a textbook example of what a minister should do. Asked for a view on something. I take advice from not only the Treasury officials, but the Chief Executive of the States to ensure a joined-up decision is made. I also consult the Chief Minister at the time, former Senator Lesueur, and come to a decision. That's exactly what ministers should do.
Bill Ogley said, though, in his email to you, and you could argue it's a free and frank exchange of views, that you would be backing your own judgment rather than the RBC's if you didn't allow them to buy the Jersey Post headquarters, and that you would be involved in the sort of central planning that Russia pioneered, which eventually failed them.
And very good advice that was, and I said that back to Bill. At the time I said, I asked him for his advice as to what we should do. The additional thing that was happening at the time is the states were themselves looking for the Property Holdings Department, which was then under different management, had continued to look for a number of years for a site to consolidate all states' offices. As we know, states' offices are not efficiently distributed around St Helier, and there was some discussion at the time, as I understood, that the Jersey Post site itself could have represented an option for the states.
And many people would argue, many right-thinking people would argue, Senator, that it's a commercially sound deal. I mean, RBC are next door, they could move in next door, Jersey Post relieve themselves of a huge asset, get an injection of cash, so there's surely no justifiable grounds to block a sale.
And that's exactly what happened. The question, what would have been wrong, Matthew, is for the question not to be asked. Ministers should take advice. They should ask for advice on matters which they should be needing to make decisions on. They should take that advice. They should consider it, and in most cases they should accept it, which was exactly what was done on this situation.
So did you say to Jersey Post they could sell to RBC?
Indeed.
But that didn't happen, as we've heard from both counts. That said, at the back of your mind, was there a feeling that maybe, hey, if the RBC didn't go to Broad Street, they'd have to move to your lovely new, shiny Esplanade Financial Quarter?
Well, it's not my shiny new headquarters on the Esplanade, Matthew. It is the public's land. And, of course, it's completely up to RBC. And what I regret in this situation is that RBC, one of our largest employers, one of the most highly respected organisations in the financial world, is somehow being brought into some political, what I can only describe as shenanigans, by some members. I know this issue has been promoted by some members. I read from the JEP last week that apparently there was an emergency meeting of 12 states members that were going to be discussing this issue. Not one of those members has come to me to ask me for the full release of the email, which I would do. Not one of them has actually sought to really understand what the issues are. And I think it's a matter of great regret that an organisation such as RBC, and indeed Post, is being dragged into effectively suggestions of political inappropriate activity, which emphatically there has not been.
And will you be releasing that email today then, Senator?
I've already released it. I've already released it to a number of people. Of course, it contains some confidential information concerning the parties, so that I'll remove some of the numbers. But certainly, I will do so. But I think there's a bigger issue as well: is how we have arrived at a situation where we now have stolen emails appearing on blog sites, and I have to come on to programs, which I never mind doing, of course, and explaining the full situation. We have a situation where there has been a leaked, stolen email published on a website of which conspiracy theories have run amok in the last few days. I spent the majority of Friday trying to recall and trying to get all the original information out and checking the facts on this. That's a day of work which could be more productively spent on discharging my proper duties. And this is an extraordinary state of affairs.
Senator Ozouf, thank you very much indeed. We have been trying to get hold of Bill Ogley to confirm that the emails that we were given, we didn't take them from the published website, they were sent to us directly here at the BBC, but we've so far been unable to contact Mr Ogley. We have just heard there from Senator Ozouf, and we've also been speaking to both Jersey Post, their chairman Mike Liston, and indeed to the Royal Bank of Canada. We spoke to them via their London office, and they issued this statement.
As a growing business, we regularly evaluate our office space to ensure that it fits our requirements. This has included viability studies into a number of sites around St Helier in the last few years. Each decision has been made by RBC alone, based on a number of factors, including suitability, the economic environment, and potential disruption to our business and employees.
A statement there from RBC Wealth. So the company may have been investigating, but it never came to anything in the end. Jurat Mike Liston, the chairman of Jersey Post, confirmed that there were some talks between Jersey Post and the RBC, but he told us it hadn't got to the point where RBC was serious about buying the Broad Street Post Office. It was, he tells us, one of a number of options. He told us that at no time were they told that they'd not be allowed to sell to RBC or anyone else. He also said he met Senator Ozouf, who told him there was no reason why, in principle, Jersey Post couldn't sell to RBC. The story, of course, comes at a time when planning applications have been put in and approved for some of the buildings on the Esplanade Quarter. But there are questions about the economic case for the States through its property company to build office blocks in competition with the private sector. 26 and a half minutes past 8. We'll await the publication of those emails from Senator Ozouf later today.